Great good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful Friday, June 6th, 2025, here in the Northeast. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he. Broadcasting from the United States of America. I can prove it because of the brave men and women who did that assault 81 years ago in Europe. And it's the place where the brave, like the veterans we honor today, who we lost this year, like Elizabeth Betty Ann Gush, Kevin Zakalski, Plains Township, Jackie Elmy, Shaytown section of Newport Township, Harold Lyman, Dixon City, James Minicozy, West Scranton, and Chuck Horn, Bloomsburg. The United States of America, founded with a certain knowledge and understanding by our amazing, incredible, irreplaceable founding fathers, that government is not, shall not be, cannot be our parent, our guide, our salvation, our direction. Not any of these things, but is nothing more than a necessary evil we require to organize and protect society. The United States of America, the country where, for the first time in human history, freedom was declared to be an unalienable right granted to each individual by God. It was not something that could be parceled out to groups. It was not something that could be controlled by government or government officials. Our great American Constitution ensures and codifies freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of association, economic freedom, and freedom of the press. Whether we like what they say or not, whether they lie and cover up for the Dems or not, it doesn't matter. We know better. Now, armed with these freedoms, and only because they had them, a ragtag bunch of immigrants, rejects, and their progeny created the richest, most powerful, most culturally diverse and accepting nation ever to grace our planet Earth. America, the only place specifically invented and designed so that every American can live their life in the manner they choose, unlimited by their background, upbringing, race, color, or creed, unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. This Bob Cordaro Show will always be convincingly conservative, lovingly logical, proudly and passionately patriotic, and reliably right. Yes, we mean it in both ways. So, with that essential preamble dispensed with, we gavel to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising a sanctuary of sanity for all of you through the rest of this morning. Does that not get your... Man, it brings you back. It makes. I felt like I was there listening on a radio in 1944. We've got a couple more of those coming and a few more. And, of course, we have Rick Bigelow talking about D-Day today. 81st anniversary. I mean, there's... Oh, it's unbelievable. You can't... Now, by the way, the best of these movies that D-Day, and Rick Bigelow's is partial to The Longest Day, which is actually his theme song. But to me, the best is the scenes from Private Ryan, because I thought they captured the brutality, which was important. Now, the battle for D-Day started the night before. We dropped about 13,000, about 12:15 a.m. And thanks to Timmy Mack for filling out a lot of this. We dropped 13,000 paratroopers starting at that time. These troopers are honored in a church window, a stained glass window. which is still there. The church in Angoville-au-Plan, Normandy, France, specifically the Église Saint-Comé at Saint-Damien, was used as an aid station during the Normandy attack. But the night before, these people landed behind enemy lines. It's unbelievable. It's really unreal. Captain Frank Lillyman of the 101st Airborne Division, he shouted, "Let's go." And he steps out into the prop blast, followed by 17 of his men. Lillyman became the first American to set foot in Normandy on D-Day. And this behind-the-lines activity was absolutely critical. There was a priest, Father Francis L. Sampson. He was a Roman Catholic priest. They nicknamed him Paratrooper Pete. Graduate of the University of Notre Dame, St. Paul Seminary, Diocese of Des Moines. He volunteered for the elite 501st Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division to be their chaplain. And he became a paratrooper from a deep sense of duty to minister to soldiers in the most challenging and dangerous conditions. He chose to serve with these paratroopers because he believed his role as a chaplain was to be where the soldiers faced the greatest danger, which means he faced the greatest danger. And paratroopers, as in the case here, were often dropped behind enemy lines. He endured intense combat and isolation, and he felt called to share, did paratrooper priest, in their hardships, offer spiritual guidance, comfort, and sacraments such as Mass and last rites. His commitment to being present with the men in such perilous circumstances led him to undergo rigorous paratrooper training. He was a priest. He earned his jump wings, however, and the right to wear the coveted paratrooper boots. The dedication was exemplified by his actions on D-Day, June 6, 1944, when he parachuted into Normandy under heavy machine gun fire, landing in the Dove River. Despite nearly drowning and losing his equipment, he retrieved his mass kit by diving repeatedly to the river bottom. Determined to maintain his ability to perform religious services for the troops. His choice to become a paratrooper was thus driven by a profound sense of mission to serve God and the soldiers in the most extreme conditions of the war. Paratrooper Padre, they called him. Now, this church where you can see a stained glass window with an American paratrooper, Angoville-au-Plan, Normandy, France. It was used as an aid station during the Battle of Normandy on D-Day and the days following. U.S. Army medics Robert Wright, Kenneth Moore, both from the 2nd Battalion, 501st Parachute Infantry Regiment of the 101st Airborne Division, set up a medical aid station in the 12th century church. They treated approximately 80 wounded individuals, including American and German soldiers, as well as at least one French child, despite the intense fighting in the area. The pews of the church still bear visible bloodstains from the wounded who were treated there, preserved as a testament to the events. Do we have that anymore? I believe we do. I truly do. I don't know if we have it en masse. I think we have it in our military. I think we have it, that spirit, that courage, that unquestioning loyalty to country. I think we have it in the military. I know we have it in the special forces. And the veterans we pay tribute to every day, I believe they had it. Do we have it now? Somebody said, just returned from Paris and a day trip to Normandy on Sunday. Visited the beaches, surrounding towns, and the cemetery. Openly wept. They had to traverse thousands of yards of open beaches with interlocking machine gun, mortar, and artillery fire. Visiting the surrounding crossroad towns, you understand why they're so crucial to take, as there are virtually no roads. American flags on so many homes. Neat. Tom from Dallas tells us, over 33,000 Pennsylvanians died during World War II. 13 Pennsylvanians killed during the D-Day invasion out of the 4,000 we lost. Also, 44 Pennsylvanians died during the D-Day rehearsal exercise Tiger in April of 1944. Good morning, Bob Cinderblock checking in. God, your opening gave me chills, didn't it? The newsman back in the day really knew how to spin a story, not like the prepackaged, dumb it down, regurgitated dribble of the newscast today. It's amazing. It's 81st. Well, yet last year we did a lot on this. We're going to do a lot on it again today, especially with our man Rick Bigelow. We'll talk about other things. We could talk about politics. We could talk about the silliness with Musk and Trump and all of that. But, wow. I just imagine. You have no idea what you're facing. And a lot of these were fairly raw recruits. They were trained, of course, in America and in England. But when those doors went down, you went out. And by the way, many of the people driving the LSTs, they got shook up by all the fire, dropped their doors early. Our guys go into the fairly deep water with those 80-plus pounds of their packs, their weapons, and they died. They drowned right there. Because when that went down, you were getting fired into. That boat was getting fired into, and the push was to get off the boat. And then you're on the beach. It's unbelievable. I say this, I think, and I'm going to talk to Rick Bigelow about this, but I think that it was so well captured by Spielberg in Saving Private Ryan. Cabinet guy points out there's a travel group that'll take you on a Band of Brothers tour starting at Normandy. Wow, I would love to do that too. Well, 81st anniversary of D-Day, guys. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. Let's hear from our great sponsors. Got a little history of different types, a little music, and then more. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our Veterans Tribute this hour and every hour, this day and every day. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his incredible companies. Eastern Roofing Systems, J. Bass Realty, Serenity Care, and Basiliga Hospitality. Elizabeth Betty Ann Gush. She passed away on Easter Sunday. Her family writes, she was reunited with her love, her husband, who she lost just before, on the most holy of days, and her children were with her to celebrate their heavenly reunion, where she and her husband will remain side by side for all eternity. She was a United States Navy veteran, marrying the love of her life, Edward Francis Ed Gush, back in 1960. Very proud of her military service. And she supported veterans organizations of all types. Her family said she was made of invisible steel. Superman asked if he could borrow her cape, and she would graciously offer it to him. She devoted her life entirely to her family. They called her Kitchen Betty's Diner. She's survived by those children, daughter and sons, 6 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren, and many other family members. She was predeceased tragically by an infant daughter, Dorinda. She had to stay at St. Mary's Villa in the Great Gino Murley Veterans Center. And the family wants to thank them for their incredible care. Elizabeth Betty Ann Gush. Kevin Zakowski, Plains Township, formerly Bear Creek. Born in Wilkes-Barre, attended James M. Coughlin High School, Wilkes-Barre. Army veteran. Was employed as a plant manager at Intermetro, Plains Township. Member of the DuPont VFW and a number of other clubs. Avid trapper, hunter, fisherman. Loved to read. It was his passion. A hardworking man and provider. Surviving are his daughter, son, and grandchildren. Kevin Zakowski, our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga. Now to something far less important from meteorologist Joe Snedeker. Today a mix of, not because of Joe Snedeker. Today a mix of clouds and sun, muggy with a chance of showers, thunderstorms, 78 degrees. Tonight clouds with a chance of showers, 66. Tomorrow, Saturday, morning shower, then clearing and less humid, 78. Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, 76. 81st anniversary of D-Day. Man, that song, how about that song? That's The Shores of Normandy, Jim Radford. Perfect lilt to capture that incredible bravery. That incredible feat. That was America. We've got to pray. We've got to hope that it still is. Somehow, some way. And in many ways. Listen, let's not sugarcoat history. Americans were always fighting, arguing, politics, all that. I will say this. There was not a group of people with the media, with academia, with nonprofits arrayed against the country and its culture. We've never faced that before. This level of internal enemies. My man Mark Mayer points out we got some three great guys listening. Our New Yorkers, they might even be Chaminade quality. We don't know. Jamie Atkinson, Luke Orban, Eric Orban. Welcome, guys. Welcome to this large and dysfunctional family. At least for today. We hope beyond that point. Hey, Cindy Cox is with us. And she's telling me about this ongoing dental event. And I said, even with D-Day celebrations and all of that, I thought it was important we bring you on. How are you, Cindy?
Hello, Bob. Thank you so much for having me. I actually have a special guest, too, with me. He is the co-chair of this event, Dr. Richard Grossman.
Oh, great.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, Doctor. Tell us all about it, please.
In a way, you're right. It's D-Day, and we're fighting decay, okay? We're not fighting each other.
Well, some battles are more prosaic, Doctor. That's okay.
Okay. So you can tell I'm listening to you, at least, right?
Awesome, Bob.
Fire away. Tell us what's happening.
All right, so we do this every year. We move this around the state of Pennsylvania, and this year is the second time here in Luzerne County, Wilkes-Barre, and we service anyone in northeastern Pennsylvania. We provide dental services for free. We don't ask any income or whatever. Whatever your needs are, we try to meet them. We can treat children. We do extractions. We do fillings. We clean teeth. We try to educate people, and this has been an ongoing event in the Commonwealth over the last 13 or 14 years.
And where is this taking place today?
We are at the Mohegan Arena in Wilkes-Barre Township, and we have dentists from all over the state and dental auxiliaries to help meet the needs of the people that show up.
Yeah, Bob, we opened the doors at 6 a.m. We had a line this morning, and we're repeating that tomorrow morning. So anybody who is in need of dental care should come here. No questions asked. We're here all day long. We have about 800, you heard me right, 800 volunteers between dentists and lay people. They come in, they get a medical triage, their needs are determined, right? And then they get sent to the right department, right?
We take their blood pressure. If they have certain medical conditions, we're made aware of them, and we take that into consideration, determining what kind of dental procedures we could perform safely here.
That's sort of amazing. Is it in the lobby, or are you on the floor of the arena?
Okay,
we took it over.
Right, in between patients, we're playing hockey here. It's on the hockey floor. We have about 120 dental chairs set up, and just to come here and see what's going on, and the way we set it up yesterday with, it takes all kinds of plumbing and electrical work to hook everything up, and then late tomorrow afternoon on Saturday we have to take it all down and ship it out.
It's quite an undertaking.
We get all the dental materials and supplies donated from really various sources, and even one of our local dental suppliers, Benco, has been very helpful to us over the years.
Oh, Benco's great company. Hey, so that is today and tomorrow. Now you've already started. When does it end today?
I think around 3 o'clock when people have to check in, and we kind of close up shop around 5 today. Then people tomorrow morning, the doors open at 6, and it starts all over again. We take medical histories, and it takes a little while to get through what we call triage, so we know what their dental needs are.
Yeah.
So somebody, their kids themselves, they show up, and they're going to get first-class dental care on the floor of the Mohegan Sun Arena. That is fabulous.
And if families come, we try to keep the families together so that no one gets separated, and there's people here to guide them through all the different departments.
I'm beyond
You know,
impressed.
you're welcome to come too if you want to show up.
Bob's teeth are.
Dr. France would say I'm cheating on him.
He's actually, I think he's downstairs. Yes. Thank you, Bob. Please share this. All listeners, welcome. Please come and see what we've got going on here.
So a free dental clinic today till 3 o'clock is the last check-in. They'll be open till 5. And then tomorrow again, starting at 6 a.m. at the Mohegan Sun Arena. Show up and they'll do it. They got bilingual volunteers, all of that.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of translators here.
That's amazing. And obviously, Mohegan Sun, you got plenty of parking.
Yes.
Yes, lots
Free.
of Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
This is an amazing event. I mean, your logistics are not insubstantial. I'm impressed with it. I'm excited to have you come on and talk about it, and I thank you for doing it too.
And thank you for your time.
Yes, Bob.
Wow.
Thank you.
Cindy Cox, Dr. Grossman, thank you so much. Free dental clinic at Mohegan Sun today and tomorrow. Doesn't get much better than that. Thank you both.
Have a great day.
All right. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. 81st anniversary of D-Day. We'll meet again. The D-Day darlings. That was a World War II song. Murph, thank you for that. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK. Back to much more. They're not going away. And their entire case is built on lies. It's insanity. It caught my ear, this idiot mayor up in Boston, Mayor Lou, comparing the ICE agents like, I've never seen anyone with masks on. Local law. What? Do you know who they're rounding up, you stupid little nitwit? They're rounding up gang members who will kill their families. You're that stupid. Wow. You can't even make up. And somebody called, texted in, Bob, I'm upset. Just got off the phone with a friend, and she started her assault on Trump regarding Musk and how horrible Trump is, and even called him the devil. Of course, she listened to ABC, NBC, etc. She stated that Trump was involved with Epstein, and he's closing Job Corps, and much more. Also said he would stop cancer treatment for some. I mean, these people, the listener says, I really hung up in a foul mood, no convincing her otherwise. People are eating up this fallout with Musk. Had to vent. Feel free to vent here. Thanks, and LTS. LTS back at you, which for our new Long Island friends, it's love the show. Look at if everybody died that the Democrat Party predicted would die, there wouldn't be a country. Like, everybody would be dead. We would have all died from COVID. We would have all died, but by the way, dead many times over. We would have all died from COVID. Now we'd all die from these spending cuts, which aren't actually happening. By the way, Medicare, Medicaid is going up 7%, just so you know. It was slated to go up 12%. And able-bodied people who are capable of working are not going to get Medicaid just because they want it. Oh, my God. And, oh, by the way, illegal aliens are not going to get it. There's the cuts. How many times, I say this to all the Democrats listening, how many times do we allow complete fabrications? That was the entire Democrat campaign for both Cartwright Casey here in Pennsylvania and Kamala Harris nationwide. Total lies. Everything was based on a lie. And now they keep doing it, these same people. Oh, my God, they're going to kill everybody. You had an ass like Bono, who I had respected till now, saying that Elon Musk killed 300,000 people. Like, you can't even make it up. By the way, the Trump-Musk thing. We know they are two petulant children. Okay? We've seen this before. But not that, number one, it wasn't unexpected, and it's not like it's beyond the pale or realm of possibility. Number two, they're going to probably be friends again. Musk came into the public arena in a way he didn't anticipate and didn't understand. And he got slaughtered business-wise, personally, beyond his comprehension. And he's not happy about it. And he's sort of saying, well, why did I ruin my reputation, create millions of enemies if they're not actually going to cut government. Because he doesn't know that's not what you just can't do it. They're talking about a 7% increase in Medicaid and Medicare spending as though it's the most tragic cut that ever happened on the planet. Come on, Elon. Put on your big boy pants, and you and Trump stop your silliness. They will. And it's of no consequence. Just be aware of that. It's of zero consequence. And that's Trump and Musk. They fire off, they go from zero to hateful in about 2 minutes. And that's what happened here. So what? Don't fall for the left here. Really, don't fall for it. And the big, beautiful bill. See, that's where Trump does get himself in trouble, though. And, everything's going to be perfect. We're going to have these deals done. And you could name it. I tell you this. He is a constant exaggerator. He's not a liar. I don't see him lie. No matter what you TDS people say. But he exaggerates almost every time he opens his mouth. Okay, but he eventually gets it done. It doesn't matter if it's trade deals or solving Ukraine-Russia war, getting hostages back. He speaks before something's accomplished because in his mind and in his life, saying something was going to happen made it happen eventually. It's not a big deal. And I've said this. Somebody texted in on this saying they're playing the Democrats with the false argument. Part of this could be play acting. It really could be. Like, okay, I don't want to be hated. I want to sell Teslas to liberals who are the virtue signalers who buy electric cars. And come on, let's pretend we have a fight. It is, and by the way, it is. It is like WWE. So no big deal. Relax on it. All right. We've got to do the news. We're going to come back, and we've got Rick Bigelow on D-Day. All right? I'm looking forward to his lesson and his discussion. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. We'll be back. Important D-Day history on our return. You know it, baby. That's the song that got Mark Mayer producer credits on the program. Great good morning, everyone. 10:12 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Friday, June 6, 2025, the 81st anniversary of D-Day. This is the Bob Cordaro Show, and I am he, and it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and with the help of our man, John Basiliga, and his galaxy of companies, to honor the brave who have made us and kept us free. People like veterans we lost this year, but have the great opportunity to celebrate today, like Elizabeth Betty Ann Gush, Springbrook Township, Kevin Zakalski, Plains Township, Harold Lyman, Dixon City, Jackie Elmy, Shaytown section of Newport Township, James Minicozy, West Scranton, and Chuck Horn, Bloomsburg. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense, promising you a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the program. We promise it. You need it. The lies that fly around and out of the lips of the Democrats, the stupidity that they espouse is beyond comprehension. And by the way, where are the so-called normal Democrats calling this out? Where are they? People say, well, John Fetterman is he's conservative. No, he's not. My man Frank Mack sends me his fundraising letters. And he's talking about everybody's going to die with these massive cuts. He's a total liar and phony, too. Don't fall for any of them. The exact opposite of that which they say is what is true. Period. Yeah, somebody commenting on if there was anything legitimate about Trump being in the Epstein files, the Biden administration would have released it. Of course. Oh, Lord. So it is. So it is. All right. Rick Bigelow. He's our man. He's our historian. And he's provided us context in military. We did the Battle of Midway this week. And amazingly and coincidentally, his theme song is The Longest Day, which pays tribute to D-Day. And here he is on the 81st anniversary. Our man, Rick Bigelow. How are you, Rick? Hey, Rick, one of the things that your maps pointed out that you sent, and by the way, you can see these maps if you go to our live stream, WILKNewsRadio.com, and press watch. There were actually 5 thrusts in all of this. Two of them Canadian and British, called Juno and Sword. One British called Gold. And then 2 American called Utah Beach and Omaha Beach.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, this was kind of the last hurrah of the British Empire because most of the troops and most of the naval personnel supporting this operation were British. There was something like 80,000 British troops coming ashore, and these weren't just British troops. They were from the British Commonwealth, so there were Australians and New Zealanders and Africans and so on. And there were also free Polish and some free French that were coming ashore with the British forces. But the Utah and Omaha beaches, which were the furthest west beaches, were 100% American.
All right. Tell us about the invasion. It's the night before. There's a significant paratrooper activity. Tell us about it.
Right. Well, shortly after midnight, paratroopers from the 82nd and 101st Airborne U.S. divisions jumped into the very western part of the operation area to sort of seal off any German troops that might be coming down from Cherbourg. And at the same time, there were British paratroops that landed on the very eastern part of the operation area. And once again, they were there to seal off the potential for any German troops to come in and attack the beachhead. You know, if you talk about the Normandy beachhead, it was 50 miles wide. And the beaches that we were landing at, Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword, they only comprised about 50% of the beach area. So there were plenty of open areas, and even in the beaches that we were attacking, there were a lot of gaps. So if there had been any kind of determined counterattack by the Germans, they could have gone right to the ocean. In fact, at one of the beaches, the Germans did counterattack and got with a panzer group, got all the way to the shoreline. But since we had complete control of the sea and the air, they were quickly beaten back. So the invasion, this was different than the invasions in the Pacific, where we typically had naval and aerial bombardment for a week or 2 weeks or something like that. They wanted this one to be a surprise, so we didn't start the naval bombardment until about 3 hours before the troops actually started to land. And of course, we'd been building up forces in Great Britain and Northern Ireland since 1942. So these guys had been training and getting ready to go for a couple years, and they were itching to go, to say the least. And
one of those things was a dummy division that Patton was supposedly in charge of, because he was being punished at the time.
That's right, and the Patton was the American general that the Germans feared the most, because he'd been so successful in North Africa and in Sicily, and so wherever Patton went, you know, they monitored it, and they put Patton in an area right across the channel from Calais, which is the closest point of France to the British Isles. And there was all kinds of dummy radio traffic, and they had these rubber tanks that they could move around, and all kinds of communications and supply buildups and everything. So the Germans were convinced that Patton was going to lead the main invasion in the area of Calais, which is significantly further east than the actual Normandy invasion. So by June of 44, we had 1.5 million American troops in the UK, including ground and air corps troops, and we had 2.5 million tons of material that was stockpiled, including something like 100 locomotives that were going to be used to transfer troops and material and equipment once we got to established a beachhead in Normandy. And we had 450,000 tons of ammunition. So, and this basically was the American industrial capability and industrial might, and the ability to transfer it all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to the United Kingdom.
The logistics are staggering, Rick Bigelow.
They are, and in fact, and all the time we were doing this, we were doing the same thing in the Pacific.
Yeah.
So it's just
unreal,
just incredible, and this is why Churchill was in such a hurry to get the Americans involved. Not only did he need American troops, but he needed the U.S. industrial might to kick in 100%.
Rick Bigelow, did he actually know our potential, or was he just guessing at it? Because I don't think we knew what our potential was.
Well, I think everybody had a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
In fact, I think back in the late 30s, we started building up our especially our naval forces. There was something called the Two Ocean Navy Act that was passed back in the late 1930s, and where we started the wheels in motion to come up with eventually 100 aircraft carriers, all kinds of planes, thousands and thousands of tanks, and we had built up all kinds of training bases in the United States. And the thing about the U.S., we could go 24/7 with industrial production. And they couldn't do that in England. So it was up to us to do it. And of course, nobody knew that better than Admiral Yamamoto, who had toured extensively in the U.S., and he saw the capabilities, and there's nothing like that in Japan.
Rick, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and let's talk about the landing itself. D-Day is the subject. Rick Bigelow is the guest. We'll take a break. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Smoke on the water, Red Foley. I was expecting something different. The smoke on the water we grew up with. Well, Rick Bigelow's our guest. D-Day, the subject, 81st anniversary. So these LSTs just start streaming out of Great Britain, loaded with troops. They get close to the beaches. And let's take it from there, Rick Bigelow.
Okay, one of the things that we decided was that we needed to land at low tide, and of course the Army said to the Navy, "Are you guys crazy? We want to land at high tide, so we're closer to the enemy." And because Rommel had placed so many beach obstacles in the water, the Navy said, "Look, if we go up there, we're gonna land. We're gonna impact on these beach obstacles, many of which had mines on them.
Yeah,
and it's just going to destroy the landing craft. And of course, the landing craft was probably the critical thing for the entire invasion. It was so important to have the landing craft drop off troops and supplies, go back and get more, because eventually we needed to put 1 million men into Normandy by the time the month of June was over. So it was important to have these landing craft available. So they had to land pretty much at low tide, which meant they had a lot more to actually traverse over before they actually got to firm ground on the beach. So basically there were 5 beaches, and we already said the airborne landed, the American airborne landed west of the beaches, and the British airborne landed east of the beaches. These airborne landings didn't go all that well. They were dropped all over the place, but they managed to pull together and eventually attained most of their first day objectives, which was basically to block roads and make sure bridges were still intact. The first, and I'm going to go from west to east. The first one was Utah Beach, which was the American 7th Corps, which was primarily the 4th Infantry Division. And, of course, the famous assistant division commander there was Teddy Roosevelt, Jr., who was quite the general. He had landed in North Africa and Sicily and in Italy. So he had gone all the way up all the different beaches that we stormed in World War II. So he was experienced. He was also medically ineligible, and he badgered FDR to let him go back on active duty because he had been severely wounded in World War I. So there was one president's kid who did a heck of a job.
Certainly took after his father.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, the troops loved him, the higher ups loved him, and you know, if a president's kid's going in on D-Day, that says a lot for the Americans. So Utah Beach was lightly, well, I don't want to say lightly defended, but it wasn't as heavily defended certainly as Omaha Beach. So the American 7th Corps, 4th Infantry Division, about 35,000 men went in at 6:30 in the morning. They were opposed by about 12,000 Germans. Fortunately, these were mostly conscripts, and some of them were prisoners of war from Russia and various other countries who were given the opportunity to either go to a work camp or join the German army, and some of them joined the German army. So the rough seas forced the landing craft to land about a mile south of their objective. So they fell short of many of their first day objectives. Nonetheless, the forces landed and basically beat back the German resistance, cleared the beach in less than an hour, and pushed several kilometers into France. By the end of the day, 22,000 U.S. troops had landed at Utah Beach. One of my Navy friends' fathers actually landed at Utah Beach. It was part of a Beachmaster unit. He said Utah Beach was it was tough, but it was nowhere near as tough as Salerno. And later on in the summer, we'll be talking about the invasions of Sicily and Italy. Even though it was described as not too bad, we suffered 900 killed in action, wounded in action. The airborne troops suffered tremendously. They had 2,500 killed in action and wounded in action. Next to the east is Pontahawk, which is the elevated landmass that protruded into the English Channel. The Germans ostensibly had large guns on top of elevated portion. Those guns could shoot roughly 15 miles out into the ocean. It was imperative for the Ranger Battalion to go up and secure those guns and make sure that they wouldn't be levied against the Allied shipping. So the guns were defended by elements of the 352nd Infantry Division and French collaborators, and there were French collaborators at this point in time. So the Rangers scaled the cliffs under fire, but when they got there, they found the guns had been removed. There's question about whether the guns were ever there or if they were there and actually were removed. But to their credit, the Rangers kept going. They proceeded inland and found the guns and destroyed them. They fended off counterattacks, and they were supposed to be relieved later on D-Day by troops coming from Omaha Beach. But since Omaha Beach was backed up, these Rangers, who of course had only light provisions, ran out of ammunition. And it wasn't until 2 days later that they are actually relieved by troops from Omaha.
Rick Bigelow's our guest.
Rangers,
D-Day invasion is our subject. Rick, we've got to take a break. We've got to do our Veterans Tribute. We'll come back and let's focus our energy on Omaha Beach. That's the one, the most famous, the largest, all of that. We'll do that when we come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Our veterans this hour and every hour, this day and every day, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga, and his great companies, including Basiliga Hospitality. I'll be heading down to the Stegmeyer Mansion this weekend with Cutie. I can't wait. Cannot wait. but a suite of restaurants for all budgets, all locales, now open with the best in fine dining in Wilkes-Barre. Harold Lyman, he passed away April 15th at the age of 80. He was from Dixon City. Born in Scranton, graduate of Dixon City High School, member of the Bradley Memorial Methodist Church, Dixon City. He was a veteran and served us in the U.S. Army. He was a warehouseman working for Crystal Beverage and R.C. Cola, Kane Trucking, Dixon City Borough. Surviving are his 3 sons, his daughter, 7 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. Harold Lyman. John Jackie Elmy. He was 82 years old from the Shaytown section of Newport Township. We lost him April 20th. Born in Nanticoke, graduate of Newport Township High School. He studied accounting there in business school. Proudly served his country for 5 years with the United States Army during the Vietnam era. Discharged at the rank of Staff Sergeant. Numerous awards and medals for his service during the Cold War. He was a controller for L.E. Smith, an auditor for local garment industry union, and also employed by National Music Center. A big part of Jackie's life was dedicated to serving Newport Township. He was in the Shaytown Hose Company, the Glen Lyon Hose Company, Newport Township Fire Department, holding offices in all of those organizations. Surviving is his loving wife, the former Catherine Markowitz, with whom he shared 60 years of marriage, as well as other family members. Jackie Elmy. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by our man John Basiliga and the Basiliga Hospitality Group. Enjoy one of those great facilities this weekend. Meteorologist Joe Snedeker tells us today a mix of clouds and sun, muggy, chance of showers and thunderstorms, 78. Tonight, clouds with a chance of showers, 66. Saturday, a morning shower, then clearing and less humid, although my copy bulldog says hen clearing. Could there be a hen clearing also? Is that possible? Will there be hens being cleared? We're going to have to talk to Snedeker. It says morning shower, hen clearing. I said then, just on a whim. Well, in any event, it'll be 78 degrees tomorrow. Sunday, mix of sun and clouds with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, 76 degrees. And we are back with our man Rick Bigelow and D-Day. And let's focus on, in the interest of time, Omaha Beach. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Omaha Beach was the tough one. And actually, the U.S. 1st Division, the Big Red One, and the 29th Infantry Division, with about 43,000 men, landed on Omaha. We expected that we were going to be opposed by a German regiment, but instead most of the German 352nd Infantry Division, with about 12,000 men, opposed them. The Germans had 16 heavy gun emplacements and 85 light artillery machine gun nests. So naval bombardment began at 5:30, and that didn't knock out the defensive positions. Landings got off to a rough start. Many of the landing craft ran aground on sandbars, and troops had to wade hundreds of yards into the beach in very deep water to get to the beach.
Some died, right?
We were bringing, pardon me? Yeah.
Some guys just drowned. It got the door opened while everybody pushed their way out, and you're in water above your head.
Yeah, with a lot of, and you're carrying 80 pounds to 100 pounds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, that wasn't a good situation. So there were 32 tanks that were supposed to come in with the first wave, and these tanks were specially equipped. They are called dual drive tanks that they could actually float in the water and drive in towards the shore until they could get traction with their tracks. Rough water caused 27 of those 32 tanks to sink as soon as they were deployed off the ships, and many of the tank crews drowned. At one point, the beach was so crowded with pinned down troops that the beachmaster called a halt to additional waves of troops coming in, and Bradley, he was on one of the ships out in the offshore, seriously considered calling off the invasion at this point in time. And in fact, he thought about maybe diverting some of the troops to Utah Beach, but they finally determined that that wasn't feasible. So the only access, and the important thing was getting off the beach as quickly as you can. The only access off the beach was via 5 gullies, which they also called draws, which of course the Germans had heavily defended. So for the first few hours, the situation was dire. And I think if the assault at Omaha had failed, they would have had to rethink the entire invasion, because Utah Beach would have been hanging out there all by itself, and the British beaches probably would have come under significant attack also. So it was vital that Omaha.
Rick Bigelow, Omaha was crucial. As usual, it seems, action from, maybe colonel on down, but even down to the level of sergeants, independently responding to conditions that weren't expected, was the reason for victory.
I think that's right. And I think one of the important things is that when a bunch of Navy destroyers, in fact, there were about a dozen of them, saw that things were not going well on the beach. And, of course, these Navy ships had been instructed, don't get closer than 2,000 yards from the beach, because if you do, you're going to run aground on sandbars and you'll just be sitting ducks. These destroyer captains just said, we're going in as close as we can, even if we scrape the bottom, and we're going to give significant naval gunfire support to the troops on shore. And a lot of the Army troops said we were really in dire straits until these Navy ships came in and started to pound the heavily fortified positions. And then you're right, there a bunch of individual troops said, we got to get off the beach. We've got to open up these draws and go after these heavily fortified areas. So it was a combination of individual initiative going down to the sergeant and corporal level, and the naval gunfire from these Navy ships that came in close that finally turned things around. It took 4 or 5 hours to do it, and they finally were able to move inland, and by nightfall they had about 34,000 troops had landed and were pushing inland. They were way behind their initial D-Day objectives, and the objectives weren't met until several days later. The cost was appalling. There were 2,400 U.S. casualties, including some 800 who were killed in action. The Germans lost about 1,200, and there were many POWs.
Rick,
the British beaches, for the most part.
Imagine this. Now, I'm thinking of now they land 35,000 troops by nightfall. You think of them, but think of 34,000 people with everything they had, all the equipment, all the methods to get them on the shore. That is beyond comprehension in terms of logistics, what you would see. It's really amazing every time I think about it.
Yeah, and basically on D-Day, that was the light stuff that was coming in. They needed to bring all the infrastructure to keep everybody supplied and keep them with ammunition and feed them.
Yeah.
And of course, there were a total of 156,000 that landed on D-Day, including some 60,000 Americans and 80 to 90,000 British Commonwealth type troops. The British beaches, for the most part, Gold, Juno, and Sword, encountered far less opposition, with the exception of the Canadians that landed at Juno. That's Juno Beach was kind of called the Canadian Omaha, and they landed and There was one German counterattack that got all the way to the beach, but they were eventually beat back by naval gunfire and by air. But
Rick,
the important thing was to establish the beachhead and get the logistics supply coming in.
So give us the D-Day summary. Tell us this gargantuan effort, which was in doubt to almost to the last moment.
Yeah, it was in doubt because of Omaha, and things turned around at Omaha by about noontime. So all 5 beaches were firmly in Allied hands after the first day. A lot of the objectives weren't met, but they had met enough of them that that if we could keep the supplies coming in, the Germans weren't going to be able to beat us back. And of course, one of the things that happened was there were German panzer divisions that were several miles inland that should have been deployed almost immediately, but Hitler controlled them and he wouldn't release them because he still thought the Normandy landings were a diversion and that the main attack was going to come at Calais to be led by Patton. But that's not what happened. So the cost had been high. 10,000 casualties for the Allied troops, 4,400 killed in action, and that included about 3,000 Americans killed in action. The 82nd and 101st Airborne suffered the highest percentage of casualties. Germans suffered about 9,000 casualties and many POWs. Despite the success of D-Day, the Allies were in for a tough time, as within a few days, the Germans finally released those panzer divisions to Normandy. The battle for Normandy went on for 3 months before the Allied declared it was secured. Common wisdom on the battle is D-Day, and then we progressed towards Berlin, and then the Battle of the Bulge was a hiccup, and then we, captured Paris and captured Berlin. But the battle for Normandy was incredible. In fact, there were 40,000 killed in the battle for Normandy over the next 3 months.
21,000 Americans.
Yeah, yep, that's right.
Now, you sent to me a list of people from Northeast Pennsylvania killed on D-Day, and it is long. It's 18.
Right.
Wow.
And this was all I was able to find. There might even be more.
Yeah. PFC John Dolinsky, Oliphant. Captain Joseph Rafferty, Scranton. Private Joseph Getzer, Scranton. Private Leo Richalski, Old Forge. Private William Davis, Miners Mills Section of Wilkes-Barre. Corporal Joseph Fetish, East Stanton Street, Hudson. PFC John France, Hilldale. Private Adam Tomko, West Wyoming. Private William Mensch, Almedia. Private Elmer Warman, Wilkes-Barre. Sergeant Joseph Buczynski, Pittston. PFC Donald McGrath, Carbondale. Private Charles Pittich, Dunmore. Sergeant William Hoover, Wilkes-Barre. PFC R. Willis Farver, Berwick. PFC Louis Serre, Berwick. Corporal James Dalto, Berwick. Sergeant Hertz Whitebread, Chickashinny. Wow. Remarkable.
Yep.
Nyland Brothers. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there were 4 brothers. They're from Tonawanda, New York. Tech Sergeant Ed Nyland was in a plane that was shot down in Burma in May of 1944. He was presumed dead. Tech Sergeant Robert Nyland, the 82nd Airborne, jumped in on D-Day, and he was killed in action on D-Day. Second Lieutenant Preston Nyland landed at Utah Beach with the 4th Infantry Division. He was killed on D-Day. Their mother was due to get 3 telegrams on the same day. Sergeant Fred Nyland jumped into Normandy with the 101st Airborne. After 9 days, went to see his brother. Preston told he was dead. Since all 3 of his brothers were confirmed or presumed dead, he was sent back to England and eventually back to the States. Saving Private Ryan is based loosely on the Nyland brothers. So Robert and Preston are buried next to each other in the American cemetery near Colville-sur-Mer in Normandy. And miraculously, Edward Nyland survived the air crash in Burma, wandered in the jungle for several days, was eventually captured and imprisoned by the Japanese. He was liberated by British troops in May of 1945.
Wow. Individual acts of heroism were legion. I mean, this is just overwhelming to think about, Rick Bigelow. But we did it. I mean, they just did it. Gosh, it's astonishing. Rick Bigelow, tell me, could we mount this kind of invasion again? Is it practical with today's weaponry? Is it relevant with today's weaponry?
Yeah, probably not. You know, we have such surgical weapons these days that I don't know that it would ever be important to have a large amphibious invasion like this. And the other thing is the opponent's weapons at the beach would render this just a turkey shoot, to say the least. So I don't know that we'll ever see anything like this again. We sort of saw it in Korea, and there were amphibious invasions in Vietnam, and of course there were invasions in the Gulf War. But I don't think there were any big amphibious invasions in the Gulf Wars.
Of this consequence. Rick Bishop, only a couple seconds left. Favorite World War II or Normandy movie? I say most accurate, Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, I think that's very accurate. And of course, The Longest Day, which was made back in the early 60s. That's remarkably accurate, too.
Amen. Thank you, Rick Bigelow. Appreciate it so much. Ernest Tubbs, Soldier's Last Letter. Bob Cordaro back with you on WILK D-Day commemoration. It is the 81st anniversary. Somebody asked, Bob, can you upload the KIA list of Americans, local Americans? The 18 I read out. I'll read them out again one more time before the program ends. Yes, we're going to put them. It'll be with the podcast. The names and their towns will be with the podcast. The Bulldog will get that done for you. Significant. Hey, let's do Mother Teresa. After thinking of all that death, destruction, and horror of D-Day, let's go to Mother Teresa to end the hour. She said, I was traveling to Darling when I heard the voice of God. I was sure it was God's voice. I was certain. He was calling me to something more. The message was clear. And did she answer the message? Mother Teresa, St. Teresa, for June 6th, an anniversary of D-Day, World War II. Time for the news. It's actually beyond time. Let's do that. We'll come back. It's the Bob Cordaro Show. Great good morning, everyone. 11:16 a.m. here in the great Northeast. This beautiful Friday, June 6th, 2025, the 81st anniversary of D-Day. This is the Bob Cordaro Show. I am he. And it's a big day to fight for America, defend our values, and honor the brave, like the 18 we will list killed on D-Day from right here in Northeast Pennsylvania. And the 6 we honor thanks to John Basiliga and his great companies. James Minicozy, West Scranton. Chuck Horn, Bloomsburg. Harold Lyman, Dixon City. Jackie Elmy, Shaytown section of Newport Township. Elizabeth Betty Ann Gush, Springbrook. Kevin Zakowski, Plain Township. So with history, our great founding fathers, and the incomparable Constitution of the United States of America as our guides, let us continue today's battle. Gaveling back to order this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. And reminding you that we will provide a sanctuary of sanity for the balance of the hour. Now, think of today. Think how much we've lost it. And I truly believe this, guys. If you're talking about the emptiness that America has, it's because they don't have true belief in God. We had a president of the United States go on the air and pray to God on behalf of the American people and our military forces. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Could you imagine that happening today? I actually, with Trump, I could. But I mean, there'd be people offended. Somebody texts in, one of my neighbors, Sergeant Patrick O'Malley, always told me the story of how on Utah Beach, when his landing craft door let down, they only lost one guy who got hit in the elbow and blew his arm clear off. They threw him back into the Higgins boat and they went to the shore. Then he talked about all the meaning Sergeant O'Malley, talked about all the horrors he saw on the beach and the fighting inlet. The Germans slit the bellies open of paratroopers hanging from the trees, stuff you never read about in history. Someone complimenting the show. Just compliment the people, and thank you. I thank you for that. I truly do. But thank the people who made it possible and necessary. The D-Day veterans, like the Northeast Pennsylvania killed on D-Day. I'm going to read this list. It's 18. It's 18 we know of. PFC John Dolinsky, he was 20. He was from Oliphant. Captain Joseph Rafferty, he was 30, from Scranton. Private Joseph Getzer, he was 29, from Scranton. Private Leo Richalski, he was 25, from Old Forge. Private William Billy Davis, 26, Miners Mills section of Wilkes-Barre. Corporal Joseph Fetish, 21, Hudson. PFC John France, 24, Hilldale. Private Adam Tomko, 35, West Wyoming. Private William Mensch, 24, Almedia. Private Elmer Warman, 21, Wilkes-Barre. Sergeant Joseph Buczynski, 30, Pittston. PFC Donald McGrath, 22, Carbondale. Private Charles Pittich, Dunmore. No age listed. Sergeant William Hoover Jr., Wilkes-Barre. PFC R. Willis Farver, 31, Berwick. Louis Serre, 20, Berwick. Corporal James Dalto, Berwick. Sergeant Hertz Whitebread, 27, Dixon City. That was it. They didn't come home and have kids. They didn't have a career. They didn't have a family. No grandchildren. amazing. The sacrifice. And that's another reason. By the way, somebody's saying Band of Brothers. I didn't know they had a I've got to rewatch it. I didn't know they had a Normandy or D-Day portion of it. So I'll have to rewatch that. And, of course, the Pacific on Netflix. So I'm going to watch both. But, man, the sacrifice, what they did for us. And the effort that was put together with virtual unanimity in the country. I mean, that's part of what I fear. Will we be dragging a third of the country with us because they don't like who the president is or something like that if we get into a conflict, God forbid, with the Red Chinese? Yeah. You wonder. All right, we have to take a break. We need to hear from our great sponsors, and then we'll come back, a little history, a little music, and then back to the Bob Cordaro Show. We'll be back. our veterans this day and every day, this hour and every hour. Brought to you by John Basiliga and his 2 new venues in an incredible Basiliga hospitality group. The Stegmeyer Mansion, the height of fine dining, along with, of course, the Atera 519 in Scranton. But this is in downtown Wilkes-Barre, South Franklin Street. Takes you back to Newport, Rhode Island, a different era, a different way of life. Something you only read about, the Stegmeyer Mansion. And then Main Drag Oliphant, the reimagined Queen City Tavern. Try them both this weekend. James Minicozzi. He was just 75 when he passed April 17th. He was from West Scranton, known as Jay or JP. He was born in West Scranton, a graduate of West Scranton High School. Class of 67. Veteran of the United States Army. A family legacy. Prior to his retirement, he was a custodian with the Scranton School District for 31 years. He also worked at Eureka Printing as a journeyman and at Haddon Craftsman as a bookmaker. Member of St. Anne's Monastery, Basilica Parish, and a 4th-degree member of the Knights of Columbus. Survived by his loving, caring wife and high school sweetheart, Teresa Madonna. They would have celebrated 57 years of marriage this past June 1st. In addition to his wife, Teresa Madonna, he's survived by his daughter, and 5 grandchildren. A guy knew well his son, preceded in death by him in a heartbreaking loss. Another great veteran, Captain James Minicozzi. They're united together, said the family. James Minicozzi. Charles Chuck Horn, retired from Norfolk Southern Railroad. He was 78 when he passed April 21st. He was from Franklin Street, Bloomsburg. Born in Bloomsburg. Attended Bloomsburg High School. Worked for Norfolk and Southern Railroad for more than 35 years. He served his country as a member of the U.S. Army during the Vietnam War. Active member of Bloomsburg Christian Church. A member of Great Valley of Bloomsburg American Legion and the Veterans of Foreign Wars post there. Surviving are a son, a daughter, 5 grandchildren. Chuck Horn. Our great veterans this hour, brought to you by the great Basiliga Hospitality Group and the rest of his incredible companies. Meteorologist Joe Snedeker tells us today a mix of clouds and sun, muggy, chance of showers, thunderstorms. It'll be about 78. Tonight, clouds with a chance of showers, 66. Saturday, morning shower, then clearing and less humid. It still says hen, 78. Sunday, a mix of sun and clouds with a chance of afternoon showers and thunderstorms, 76. Somebody said, Bob, if you're going to watch Band of Brothers in the Pacific, binge watch them and be prepared to be overwhelmed with pride, respect, and honor for what those men and women endure in the face of evil, says Tom from Dallas. Yep. I've watched parts of both, and I've got to really get into them, you know? I've sort of had my fill of these series on Netflix and so forth. A couple of them are really great, like Your Friends and Neighbors and Mobland. I've watched the rest, but I'm finished with many of them. So it's time for the Pacific. It's time for Band of Brothers again. Amazing stuff. So, the Elon Musk. Okay, whatever. I'll never forget this. We had some problem between our coaches when we were in high school. And so we go, all the seniors on the football team, there's 16 of us. We go marching down to the principal. They go, we're upset about these coaches arguing and blah, 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 and the politics and whatever. He says, he said to me, and I give him credit, Big Gene Villela. He says, what the hell's the matter with you? He said, go out there and play football. The hell do you care if one coach doesn't like another? Go out and play some damn football. And cut it out. And he sent us out of his office, and we walked away. We go, you know what? He was 100% right. Let's get back to that with this. Every day, you guys going to freak out? And especially those of you, now you Democrats quoting Elon Musk about the big, beautiful bill. Number one, everybody knew it wasn't beautiful. It was what we could get past. Number two, even if, of course, it wasn't perfect. It's what we could pass, period. That's what you could get through. Number two, who cares what Elon Musk and Donald Trump think of each other? I'd rather Elon come back and attack waste in government again. He was brilliant at it, along with an incredible team that he assembled, by the way. But please remember what we're called upon to do. We're called upon to fight this battle, a political battle with Lilliputians, idiots, phonies, liars, left-wing lunatics. That's all we have to do? These men who landed at Normandy and the other 5 beaches, I mean, they were facing nearly certain death. That's what they had to do. How dangerous is our effort? It's child's play. Yeah, they're stupid, they're idiots, all of that. That's sadly the way they are. And they're not changing. They're craven grab for power. By the way, not only for themselves, but over you. They want power over you. We start the program at 9:05. And I say unhindered, meaning we were given freedoms. And choice is part of that freedom on how to live and what to do. And it's to be unhindered by the government or those who would use government to control others for their own comfort, benefit, or power. You like weapons. You like guns. You've got a Second Amendment right to have them. If it makes your next door neighbor uncomfortable, so what? Freedom is messy. Freedom is difficult. The human condition, we discriminate against each other. We get jealous of each other. We try to keep people from rising. That's the human condition. You could tie it to race, this, that. No. That's what humans are like. That's when they want to talk about slavery. Who gathered the slaves for the people who were trading in them? Fellow African Americans. So, I mean, stop. In Italian, we say basta. This is what people are. This is the human condition that we're forced to deal with. It's incredible. And we've got these leftists trying, and they're lunatics. We've got 2 U.S. senators, not just Mayor Lou in Boston, calling to unmask and reveal who our ICE agents are and the other federal officers who are taking criminal illegals off the streets. Do you know how sick that is? Do you know how disgustingly sick that is? How do you associate with a political party like that, with political leadership like that? Tim Kaine, I'm forgetting who the other idiot is now. These are profoundly stupid people. And that makes them dangerous because they're in positions where they've got a platform, if not real power. Somebody said this, Bob, especially great show today. Thank you for that. Can you only imagine if Trump gave a speech as FDR did? We'd have some goofy federal judge slapping an injunction on him. The ACL would certainly sue. The media would be clapping like seals, screaming about the separation of church and state. Yeah. As for those brave soldiers in World War II, the listener continues, the mighty hand of God secured victory through those men and women because we as a nation asked him. And as far as the 4 fallen soldiers, I'm sure God took him immediately up into his arms in heaven, as that they'd already seen hell here on earth. Yeah, they did, didn't they? Crazy stuff. All right. Bob Cordaro on this program. We're going to take a break. We want to hear from our great sponsors. We love our sponsors. I mean, we do. We really do. And so let's listen to what they have to say. Then we'll come back because we've got more to say. 570-883-0098 to call or to text. We love any chance we get to play that. Ragged old flag, Johnny Cash. Thanks, Murph. So we've got a bunch to do. I want to take a quick break before we go to Bloomberg, and then we'll come back. We'll not only do the soldiers deceased from D-Day. We'll do our veterans. We've got, and I want to quickly do it if I can sneak it in here, policeman's prayer for the weekend. The Thin Blue Line. They'll be out there for us, separating us from mayhem. Not the silly commercial. Real mayhem. Real evil. Policeman's prayer. Lord, bless the ones who wear the badge, the ones who walk the beat. Protect and keep them safe while they are on the street. As they wait and as they watch, doing good for all, guide their minds and give them strength for each and every call. Ready to put their lives on the line, give them courage each day. Let them know you're always there in each and every way. So bless the ones who wear the badge. Protect them from harm. Always keep them safe and in your loving arms. God bless the USA, Lee Greenwood. And I'll do a couple of things while we do that. Thanks for being with us today, as always. We'll go back to politics Monday, don't you worry. But for today, I don't know, this D-Day is so overwhelming to me, it had to be covered lovingly. Rich in West Pittston says, thanks for the program today. Remembering the brave, patriot, young American warriors storming the beaches. Where do we get such men? Yep. Pray we can again. Our veterans today, brought to you by our man, John Basiliga. And I will let you know on Monday about my visit to the great Stegmeyer Mansion for dinner this weekend. James Minicozy, West Scranton, father of many of our friends, Captain James Minicozy, another great veteran. Harold Lyman, Dixon City. Jackie Elmy, Shaytown, section of Newport Township. Betty Ann Gush, Springbrook. Kevin Zakalski, Plains Township, formerly of Bear Creek. And Chuck Horn, Bloomsburg. Great veterans. And then the men we lost from Northeast Pennsylvania. Guaranteed not an exhaustive list, but Rick Bigelow looked it up. PFC John Dolinsky, 20. Captain Joseph Rafferty, 30. Scranton. Dolinsky of Oliphant. Private Joseph Getzer, 29. Scranton. Private Leo Richalski, Old Forge. Private William Billy Davis, 26, Miners Mills, section of Wilkes-Barre. Corporal Joseph Fetish, 21 of Hudson. PFC John France, 24 of Hilldale. Private Adam Tomko of West Wyoming, he was 35. Private William Mensch, 24, Almedia. Private Elmer Warman, 21 of Wilkes-Barre. Sergeant Joseph Paczynski, 30. Of Pittston. PFC Donald McGrath, 22 of Carbondale. Private Charles Pittich, Dunmore. Sergeant William Hoover, Wilkes-Barre. PFC R. Willis Farver, 31 of Berwick. PFC Louis Serre, 20 of Berwick. Corporal James Dalto, Berwick. Sergeant Hertz Whitebread, 27. Shikshinny. Search the archives of the Northeast Pennsylvania newspapers on newspaper.com to find it out. Amazing. Amazing, amazing. Don't forget it. Think about it. Think about these men and women who served us and the greatness they achieved. Many of them in death. As we try to each week, we finish with Tomorrow Never Comes by Norma Cornett Merrick. As you approach another weekend, remember friends and family and maybe people you're a bit estranged from. And take the time to get in touch. I found this poem in the obituary of Sweet Doreen Gorieb, who died December 31st of 2023. If I knew it would be the last time that I'd see you walk out the door, I would give you a hug and kiss and call you back for just one more. If I knew it would be the last time, I would spare an extra minute or two to stop and say I love you instead of assuming you know I do. So just in case tomorrow never comes, and today is all I get, I'd like to say how much I love you, and I hope we will never forget. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone, young or old alike, and today may be the last chance you get to hold your loved one tight. So if you're waiting for tomorrow, why not do it today? For if tomorrow never comes, you'll surely regret the day that you didn't take that extra time for a smile, a hug, or a kiss. and you were too busy to grant someone what turned out to be their final wish. So hold your loved ones close today and whisper in their ear that you love them very much and you'll always hold them dear. Take time to say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, or it's okay. And if tomorrow never comes, you'll have no regrets about today. Have a great weekend, guys. God willing, I'll be back with you Monday morning, 9 a.m. But for now, we gavel to a close this meeting of the Club for Common Sense. Safe, fun, if possible, and thoughtful weekend for all of you. Have a good one.